North Korea has now launched a satellite into high orbit, and the United States is, of course, remaining totally delusional over this. Now, why does this matter? Because, of course, it means North Korea could deliver a high-altitude EMP nuclear weapon to the United States. If you can put something into orbit, you can drop it back into the atmosphere above North America. But the United States government remains in a total state of delusion over this, saying, that's impossible. There's no way that North Korea launched a satellite into high orbit. Or something like that. I don't know what voice that was. Goofy Obama? Maybe? I don't know what that was. That's impossible. North Korea doesn't even have the rocket technology to do such a thing. That's the U.S. Response. And it is goofy. Effing goofy, as the old joke goes. So what are the implications of this? Why does this matter? Well, North Korea, let's be honest, North Korea is a nation that represents the extreme political left. If you move to the left from a centrist point of view, you encounter socialism, and then you get to communism, and then beyond communism is North Koreaism, Kim Jong-unism, which is a cult. He's a cult leader of a nation that is under absolute police state tyranny, total government control over everything. The people in North Korea live with technology from basically the 1950s. They have no idea that there's an outside world. The entire media in North Korea is 100% controlled by the insane madman who runs the country. And as a result, they love him. Why wouldn't they? They're told he's their savior. He's their dear leader. So of course they love him. Have you ever heard of any other country where the media makes the people love some crazy tyrant? Sounds familiar. So in any case, here's why all of this matters. We in the United States are obviously a very technologically driven society. We are highly, highly dependent on technology to deliver food, deliver medicine, to conduct commercial transactions, to conduct logistics, transportation, delivery, just-in-time delivery systems. Even our national defense, all of our responder services, emergency responders, and so on, it's all done electronically. Now, North Korea, because it's such a backward type of country, doesn't need electronics nearly as much as the United States. North Korea can actually survive without a power grid. I mean, yeah, there'd be a lot of starvation, but their society wouldn't collapse because, you see, it already exists so close to collapse at every minute of every day. But the United States, if it were to suddenly lose its power grid, it would absolutely collapse into complete social chaos. And perhaps war, or revolution, or secession of various states. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? So the United States, like most high-tech countries, has high vulnerability to EMP weapons, whereas countries like North Korea, or let's say Cuba or Syria, are not nearly as vulnerable because they don't depend on those technologies as much. So now that North Korea has demonstrated its ability to launch a satellite into orbit, you have to understand that recently it tested a hydrogen bomb. A hydrogen nuclear bomb, thermonuclear bomb. Now, this thermonuclear bomb, many experts believe, can be affixed to the tip of this rocket that North Korea just launched into orbit. And if that is true, it means that North Korea can not just nuke Japan, which is one of the huge enemies of North Korea, and it can not only nuke, let's say, Australia if it wanted to, although it doesn't really have any reason to, but it could also nuke Seattle or San Francisco or Portland, Oregon, or perhaps even Chicago, for that matter, or maybe, even though it's much farther, obviously, New York or Washington, D.C. So the international community is condemning all of this. Global outrage over North Korea rocket launch from the AFP says, says that North Korea is stating it is legitimately exercising the right to use space for independent and peaceful purposes. Gee, their spin is almost as good as ours. Like, yeah. Oh, man, I'm not even going to go with that. So, in effect, if this is true, if all this is true, it means that we could be waking up one morning and all of a sudden you don't even hear an explosion, you don't even see an explosion, or perhaps a small light in the sky, a second sun for a brief moment, but smaller, more dimmer than the sun, and then all of a sudden all your electronics just stop working. That's right. You can't post on Facebook that morning. I know it's gonna be rough, especially since your coffee maker doesn't work either. Yeah, I know. And the can opener to feed your cats doesn't work. You're gonna have to use a manual can opener. I know, it just keeps getting worse. Just wait though. Within an hour or two, you'll find that your tap water doesn't work anymore. Your air conditioning or heating system is offline. There is no internet. 911 doesn't work. It hardly works on a good day, by the way. But 911 is down. Every circuit board in most vehicles is fried. All your electronics are fried. Your cell phone, mobile phone, totally fried. You're going to be reduced to sitting there on your kitchen table playing Yahtzee with a bunch of dice and a scrap of paper. But you might not even have a scrap of paper anymore. You can't find a pencil. Your pencil sharpener is electronic. So you're really going to be in a tough spot. Pull out that deck of cards and play solitaire while the end of the world approaches, I guess. So this is some of the scenario that is being openly talked about by people who know what EMP can impact. So now we legitimately have an enemy nation, North Korea, that has said it's going to nuke America. It has said publicly it's going to nuke American cities. It even released they released a map a couple of years ago showing which cities they're going to strike. And now they have a rocket that can go into high orbit, and now they have the hydrogen bomb. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that all they have to do now is combine these two things. Put the nuke on top of the rocket and press the little red button. Target, whatever they want to target. If they really wanted to cause economic chaos and social chaos, they would detonate it probably over Southern California, if they could reach that far. If they want to cause financial chaos, economic chaos, they would detonate it over New Jersey, New York, Manhattan Island. If they want to cause political chaos, excuse me, they would detonate it over Washington, D.C. Remember, this is a high-altitude detonation, and it has a very wide range, hundreds and hundreds of miles of devastating effects for EMP. Maybe even 1,000 miles. No one's exactly sure. It depends on the power of the bomb, the altitude, what's happening in the atmosphere that day, and so on. The point is that the smaller your electronic circuits are on the circuit boards, the more vulnerable they are to EMP. And EMP is invisible, obviously. It does not harm biology. In other words, you're not going to feel it. You're not going to be harmed. It's not going to give you cancer. It's just going to kill you by cutting off your food, water, electricity, heat, shelter, emergency services, and everything else. That's how it's going to kill. If it happens, it could kill literally 80% of the country, of the population, if every area at the same time got hit with an EMP weapon. If the grid goes down, all bets are off for a very long time. Now, notably, one technology that continues to work after an EMP is firearms. You pull the trigger, firing pin hits the cartridge, the primer actually. The primer just uses the laws of physics, has a small ignition inside the cartridge, ignites the gunpowder, which rapidly expands and burns and pushes the kinetic projectile, i.e. the bullet, down the barrel of the rifle, spinning it for stabilization, and pushes that projectile at very high speed, let's say 2,750 feet per second. For some of the cartridges that I use, that's what they're going to go at. Heck, some of them are over 3,000 feet per second. So kinetic weapons, such as firearms, are still going to function, which means the bad guys are going to have them, sadly. It might actually be a more peaceful collapse if the EMP took out all firearms, like if all guns were rendered inert from an EMP and everybody had to resort to, I don't know, baseball bats and chainsaws and other zombie defense type of weaponry, spears, I don't know. But that's not going to happen. The guns will all still work, and you can bet that the bad guys are going to be able to get them if they don't have them already, which means we're going to have real chaos situation, and you're going to need to do something about self-defense for sure. Yeah, not a time to be an anti-gun person in the aftermath of an EMP collapse or an EMP attack that collapses the power grid. Not a good time to be an anti-gun person, unless you're really good at running. If you can outrun bullets or dodge them like Neo in the Matrix, you might have a shot at this. Otherwise, not going to be a good day. All right, so you might wonder, well, surely the United States has some kind of a defense against North Korea's missiles. And the answer is, not really. There are some semi-secret orbital space weapons, and some of them do reportedly launch kinetic projectiles at missiles. And maybe perhaps one of these could take out a North Korean missile. But it's never been tested before. And even during the original Gulf War, the Patriot anti-Scud system that was supposed to launch missiles and shoot down Scud missiles, I think it had a success rate of about 4%. Now, let's say that technology is 10 times better. So we have a 40% chance of shooting down North Korea's missile. Well, what if North Korea just launches one missile every day or every week? What should we do about that? Well, the obvious answer, and by the way, I can guarantee you this is already on the books for the Pentagon, is you have to nuke North Korea. You got to bomb the crap out of North Korea's rocket facilities. The launch pad, the refueling stations, the entire control hub, the control offices. Mission control. You bomb the crap out of mission control. You have to destroy their infrastructure for launching a rocket while minimizing civilian casualties, obviously. So I've always wondered why doesn't the United States just go in and bomb the crap out of North Korea's political headquarters and take out Kim Jong-un and go in and establish democracy there, because they always claim that that's what they did in the Middle East. Oh, we went into, Iraq to save those people, to free them from Saddam Hussein, because we love freedom so much. This has nothing to do with the oil, by the way. Nothing to do with the oil. We love freedom so much, we're going to free the people of Iraq. Well, what about the people in North Korea? Don't we want to free them too? So why aren't we taking out North Korea's leadership? Because they're crazier than Saddam Hussein ever was. And Saddam never had nukes. And the only bioweapons he had were the ones the CIA gave him. So, if we really care about freedom, shouldn't we free the North Koreans? Take out their version of Washington, D.C. and bomb their rocket launch pad into dust? It's starting to sound like something Donald Trump would say. Bring out the guillotines, something. Who knows? In any case, I'm throwing all of this at you in a semi-humorous tone, but it's really not. It's not a humorous situation. This is a very serious and totally effed up situation where North Korea is now able to nuke America, very likely, and the people in Washington, D.C. are sitting and doing nothing about it. What's their plan? Wait until we get nuked once and then respond to North Korea? No, you don't do that. It's like Israel doesn't sit around and wait for Iran to get a nuclear bomb. No, Israel's going to nuke Iran's nuclear facilities before that ever happens. Israel's not going to just sit there and say, let's wait for Iran to bomb us once or twice, and then we'll respond. No. They're in prevention mode. So the United States has got to get into prevention mode when it comes to North Korea. North Korea is now a serious threat to Japan, to Taiwan, to South Korea, obviously, to virtually every nation on the planet that isn't communist. Obviously North Korea is not going to nuke China. Heck, China's probably the one giving them all this rocket technology. I mean, where do you think they got this stuff? China. So it's time that we Americans practice some self-defense here. Now that North Korea can nuke us, maybe we ought to take out their launch pad, something like that. Yeah, I am. I know you can't even believe I'm saying this. I'm actually calling for intervention in a foreign nation to stop us from being nuked. But that's what it's come to. I don't want to wake up one day and see a headline, Seattle nuked by North Korea. That is not a headline I want to see. I would rather we bomb their rocket launch pad first, take out their launch capability, and save the people of Seattle or whatever city was going to be targeted by North Korea. Makes sense, right? This is self-defense we're talking about here. Again, because North Korea has said we want to bomb America with our nukes. That they have said that. This is not a what if. This is just a when. They're going to do it as soon as they can. So don't be surprised, folks, if we secretly send some bombers, some stealth bombers over there to North Korea, and probably they're within flying range of bases in Japan. No doubt about that. So we fly a stealth bomber into some military base in Japan. I don't know what they are. We refuel it there, load that sucker up with some very high explosive bombs, fly that stealth bomber over North Korea, bomb the crap out of their rocket launch base, and then deny everything publicly. That's probably what's going to happen. I think within the next few years, you're going to see something like that go down. And that's a good thing, by the way. There are times when you have to practice national self-defense. This is one of those times. I was against intervention in the Middle East, the original Gulf War. I was against. I've been against most military interventions, but when Kim Jong-un has his finger on the button and they have a rocket with a nuke that can reach the United States, you got to go over there and bomb that facility into dust. End of story. Let's get it done. That's otherwise we're going to lose potentially 1 million lives or more. This guy's a crazy nut job, and it would be even better if we could free his people and take him out of power and actually establish democracy over there. But that's a whole different ball game, a whole different level of CIA operations or whatever. The CIA probably can't even really infiltrate the North Korean regime very easily. I'm sure that's a very difficult area to infiltrate. But I wouldn't want to be there. Hell no, you could not pay me enough to be any part of that situation. I'm happy to be in Texas, believe me. and let's hope North Korea doesn't try to nuke Dallas or Austin or Houston. Houston would actually be more of a strategic target because of the petroleum resources there. So let's take out North Korea's rocket capabilities first before they murder millions of Americans. End of story. Thanks for listening. My name's Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. I love America, and I want to defend America. That's why I picked up this topic today, to share my thoughts with you on this. Catch my podcast at healthrangerreport.com.